From the Pentagon, thank you.
I want to bring in Congressman Adam Kinzinger, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Sir, good morning to you, and thank you for your
time.
You were in the room last night. What did you... Let's start with your observations. What did you see? What did you hear?
I thought it was an incredible speech. I mean, people, obviously, nobody knew what to expect, but walking into that speech, seeing him begin, and you just knew from the very beginning that this was going to be a very different speech than he's given in the past, very presidential, very uniting, and as he ended it, it's very bold. And I think to build it around the idea of the 250th anniversary of the country gave him a singular focus, reminded America of our history and our pride, and I got to tell you, it was a home run, a touchdown, a three-point shot at all those. It was fantastic.
Did you speak to any Democrats, colleagues in the House or Senate? What'd they say?
They said, we may not admit it publicly, but it surprised us, and it was a really good speech. They said, we don't necessarily agree with all the things he had. Of course, I sat through President Obama and didn't agree with a lot of what he said, but they said they were very pleasantly surprised at his tone, and hopefully this is the beginning in their minds of a new working relationship.
It's kind of like Christmas night, right? You get your big list together, and Santa, I want all this stuff. And it kind of comes out that way. Did you hear anything or did you not hear something that you had wished to hear last night?
Well, it was a jam-packed speech. There was a lot of great, and I think to put much more in there would have extended it beyond. What I wish I would have heard a little more about was the idea of Syria. He talked very boldly and very correctly about how to defeat ISIS. The problem is Syria itself, this civil war that's going on, this Russian involvement, this murderous Assad regime is actually what's incubating ISIS. And so I think he has to be out there with a plan, even a post-ISIS plan in Syria, because this can't continue to churn. I wish I'd heard more about that, but it was great.
That's interesting. What would you do? What do you think the plan should be?
Well, I think every day that goes by, there's less and less options. But I think when it comes down to it, you have to set up safe zones. You have to begin to return the refugees back to Syria, because these are the very people that are going to be needed to secure Syria in the future.
It seems as if he is open to safe zones. I don't know how you do it, but he seems open to it.
Well, I think he is, and I think he's talked about it in the campaign, and to say, look, it's going to take some military involvement, but the hope is actually to bring our partners in the region, which I was impressed that he talked about our allies, including partners in that region, to be part of this fight. America can't carry this burden alone. We're blessed with the ability to do a lot of things that other countries can't, and we need to recognize that blessing, but we have to use our power to bring coalitions together to win these global fights, and you saw the beginning of him talking about this, and especially with affirming NATO last night. It was great.
Two more points on that. If America doesn't protect the safe zones, who will?
Well, look, I mean, there'll probably be some American involvement, but you have the that have said they're willing to be involved, the Turks that have said they're willing to be involved, the Jordanians who have way more in this than we do at stake. So I think building this coalition is where you're going to get a lot of those ground troops. Will there be some American involvement? Sure. I mean, I think it's a fact that we have to recognize, but I think we can do a lot more to leverage our allies' help, who have a broader stake in that region than even we do.
Another point on this, comprehensive strategy to beat ISIS. I know you're big on that. I also know you're big on this Iran deal in the sense that you don't like it.
Right.
We heard Iran last night, but there was no, hey, we're going to go rip that deal up and start over again. Is that significant?
Is it significant from the campaign? Maybe, but I think he recognizes a reality, and I recognize this reality too. To come back in and all of a sudden throw the deal out and think you're going to assemble the kind of sanctions you had prior to that from Europe, you're not going to do that. But I think to watch this deal like a hawk, and I think this is what the president's going to do, and say any violation, even when it comes to missile testing, any violation of the nuclear deal, could lead easily to it being gone and the next step, whatever that next step is. And I think he's made that clear.
Thank you for your time. I'm out of time now. Adam Kinzinger, thanks for coming back live there on the Hill. Thank you.
Take care.
Shannon.